I remember when my ex-husband and I got married 23 years ago, I believe. All of our guests signed in a little 5x7 journal, of course, that was decorated and was poofy and had white satin and lots of rhinestones. But to be honest, and not being facetious, but if you were to ask me where that book is now, whether or not I was still married to my ex-husband, honestly, I would not be able to tell you. And so today on my channel, we are going to create something that is new, something that is different, something that is not so traditional. And we will be creating today a guest sign-in board with a floating sign. And what this board will allow your guests to do is leave more than a signature, just saying that they were there, but they will also be able to leave you and your husband or your wife on this very special, momentous occasion some well wishes that you will be able to have for the duration of not only the special day, but the rest of your lives. So stay tuned. For this project, you will need a 20x30 black foam board, a 4x6 frame, any trim of your choice. I'll be working with the color scheme red and black, a paint marker to match your color scheme, of course, bling wrap of whatever color you choose, and a printout of whatever it is you want to have shown through your floating sign. Of course, you will need your handy dandy tools. Let's get crafting. So the first thing we are going to have to do is prepare our glass with our message. Now I have already prepared my frame. I have gotten rid of the back of the frame, the piece of paper that came in it, and all we're working with today is the glass of the frame and the frame itself. And now what I'm doing is I am just centering my glass over the message that I would like to have showing through my floating sign. And now I am going to take my paint marker, and basically all I'm going to do is trace over whatever is written on that paper. Now I am, for this purpose, or rather I should say in this video, using what I have printed basically only as a guide. But if you are interested in copying this verbatim and in the font style that you have selected, by all means, it is something that you can do. And so once you have copied over everything on your glass, what we're going to do is set that glass on a side to make sure that that paint dries and we're not smudging anything that we have written. This is what it looks like. There you go. Now we're going to set this off to the side because we're not quite ready for it yet. And then what we're going to do is we are going to start to lay the trim on our board. Now, like I said earlier, I am working with a red and black scheme, and what I'm going to be doing is laying my black trim first. And if you can see, that trim is very thick. It is a thick ribbon that has ruffles on it, and when I turn it over, you will see that it has two sides to it and a seam going right up the middle. What I want to do is put my hot glue right in the middle of that seam so that a part or half rather of that ribbon will be hanging off of our board. And what that'll help us to do is make our board look as if it is a little bigger than it already is. And so just going in with my hot glue gun, no E6000 glue on this. With my hot glue gun, just making sure that I'm laying that material as straight as I possibly can and giving that hot glue gun a time to bond with that foam. And then what I'm going to do is just use that same process and go around the entire board. Now that we have laid all of the trim for the black, what I'm going to go in here now and do is find the center of the width of my board and of the length of it. And the board is 20 by 30 inches, and so half of that is going to give me 15 inches. And then the height of it rather is 20 inches, and so that is going to give me a center of 10 inches. And I'm just putting little indentations in the board so that I will know where to go back to find my center. And now what I'm going to do is figure out where I'm going to place this board. So now that I have figured out where I'm going to put my board to lay, I went in with some gobs of E6000 glue, and now I'm just going to be overlaying that with my hot glue gun. And once I have put down that hot glue and that frame is ready to be placed, I am going to find those center points of 15 inches wide and 10 inches tall and place my frame into the middle of those measurements. Once I have found my center, I'm going to press down to ensure that that frame is set. Now that the frame is set, what we are going to do is I am going to use a blade to start to score this foam board, because in essence what we're trying to do is create a hollow or take that foam board that is in the middle of the frame out. And so I am just going around the frame with my blade, making sure to use the inside of the frame as a guide very carefully. I'm going to go over this process maybe once or twice to ensure that I have cut all the way through, and then I'm going to turn my foam board over to see if that back is ready to be punched out yet. And if it's not ready to be punched out, just go through the back of that foam board again, following the same process. Now that I have finished scoring the back of that, I am going to take out that piece of foam board that we cut along the edges. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to cut, trying to expose the lip or the ledge upon which that glass that we have painted with our words is going to sit. If we do not expose that part of the glass, or that part of the frame rather, then we will not be able to place our glass in that space. Now that we have cut out the middle of our frame, we are now going to continue the process of laying down our ribbon. And this is easy. But what I'm going to do here, I am not going to be using the combination of my E6000 glue and my hot glue gun for this. All I'm going to be doing is using my E6000 glue so that that ribbon will be able to lay flat and there won't be any lumps and bumps on the ribbon. Now, in order to help me with this process, what I'm going to be doing is I am going to use a paintbrush to help me to lay this glue down so that I can get it as flat as humanly possible on that ribbon. Remember, we're not trying to get any lumps or bumps coming through our ribbon. So as you can see here, I'm just using a backward stroke. I'm picking up where I put down a little too much glue coming to the bottom of that ribbon, and I'm taking that excess and I'm putting it up a little further on that ribbon. Once I have spread that glue out to a thin consistency where I know it is not going to bump up or lump up, then I can go ahead and place my ribbon where it needs to be and smooth it out. Now that I have laid my red ribbon, I am going to top it off with what I call the piece de resistance of this project. I love this trim. When I saw it in Hobby Lobby, I just knew that I had to pick it up, and even though I realized that this was for a prototype, I decided I'm gonna have to get this, and somehow I'm going to have to use this product or this project for something else. And so now what I'm gonna do very easily is I'm going to go in with my E6000 glue on this project, and I am simply going to lay that glue down bit by bit so that we are not putting too much glue. And in order to do this, I'm not going to be using my big tube of E6000 glue. I am actually going to be using a small container, or that small container of E6000 glue, making sure that once I open it and I just push or squeeze a little, gravity will do the rest of the work. And as you can see, I put down my first bit of glue and I'm just dragging it from one link of that chain to the next, like I said, allowing gravity to do its work, making sure not to use too much glue so that we don't have gobs of glue laying around or too much cleanup to do when the process is complete. And now, once I have put glue on a section I feel that is enough or manageable enough for me to lift and place, I'm simply going to pick this up and lay it on top of the red ribbon that we have previously laid down. And then all I'm going to do is continue that process, going all the way around the board until the entire board is complete. So now that we have completely laid down all of our trim, I'm really loving the way this is turning out. What we're going to do now is we're going to embellish around our frame, or finish it rather, and try to break up the monotony of the black board on top of the black frame, or rather the black frame on top of the black board. And so just going in with some pre-cut strips of my red bling wrap to break up that wrap, and then taking just 4 of these flower mesh embellishments that I've cut into individuals and placing on each corner again to break up the monotony of that black. And there you have it. All of our trim and embellishments and finishes have been completed. Now the last thing left for us to do on this project is place our floating sign. And the way we're going to do this is simple. Since we do not have the back of that frame to hold that glass in place, or any of those little black metallic flaps that you put down to hold that glass in place, we are going to have to glue this glass down. And so I'm going to go in with my double tap method with some gobs of E6000 glue, not too much, because we don't want, when we put that glass in and we press it down to secure it, that too much glue comes out in front and then we have the issue of having to clean up. And once I've put that E6000 glue down, I'm just going to go in with a few pellets of my hot glue gun to make sure that we get that immediate stick or immediate fix while that E6000 glue bonds with the glass overnight. And now that I have set my glue, I am going to take my glass, making sure that it is right side up, and I'm going to place it within that hollow. Okay, all I'm doing here is just trying to preserve my fingers and using a glue stick to push that glass down so that I do not burn myself. All right, now I'm going to turn this over carefully so that you guys can see what it looks like, using my hand to support it. And here you have it. And here you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our completed project using the color scheme of red and black. We have created a guest sign-in board with a floating sign. So now when your guests come, not only to your wedding, you can create these for any event that you could possibly ever think to have, or party that you could possibly ever throw. And what you can do is use this board as a sign-in, have your guests write you well wishes, and then when that event is over, what you can do in an effort to memorialize the event and all of those well wishes, you can take this board to one of your craft stores, local craft stores, and have them place this board in a shadow box where you can then frame on your wall in a very prominent place in your home to always remember this momentous day. Listen, if you have enjoyed this project, do me a favor. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, if you will. And if you are already a subscriber, I thank you so much for being a Danny's darling. And if you are not, we welcome you to join our community. Be sure, however, when you do subscribe, that you are clicking that notification button, which will set you up to receive little reminders whenever any one of my videos are posted. It has been, my darlings, as usual and as always, a pleasure working with you guys today. Please leave me a comment in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. And until next time, this is Danny, and I look forward to working with you guys again soon. Be well.